Smeargle's one of the most unique Pokémon you can run in Crystal, having access to almost any move in the game via the signature move Sketch. The only trouble is trying to get it on the Pokémon in the first place. We have very low base stats, but we do have incredible speed, and that will make this run less textbook and more sketchbook. As always, before we get into the run, I want to say thank you all so much for the support you showed in the last video. Mantine really did try their best, and I'm so proud of the time we got in the end, but we are looking for a redo. Now, if you find that you're enjoying this video, please do consider leaving a like. If you want to see more challenge runs just like this, click the subscribe button. I have a Patreon at patreon.com/trainersquidgy, and you can also follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/trainersquidgy. And with all that out of the way, I nicknamed my Smeargle LS Lowry, and the reason I nicknamed that is because he is from my hometown. And very quickly, before we get into the challenge run, the overlay is going to be ever so slightly different this time. We're going to be able to see the enemy moves on screen at all times, which means that we'll be able to see exactly which moves we have sketched. And with all that out of the way, let's now take a little look at our Smeargle stats. They're not going to be great, but we have 21 in HP at level 5, we're holding a berry, and our only move is Sketch. We've got 8 in attack, 9 in defense, 8 in special attack, 10 in special defense, and 13 in speed. Let's now get the graphics up and the challenge run underway. We're going to get the potion from Professor Elm's aid, and as always I will show you the very first Pokemon we encounter. It's a level 3 Pidgey, and thank goodness we outspeed it. That means that we aren't wasting our Sketch on a Pidgey's tackle. It takes a few shots to knock it out because we're using Struggle, and we're actually going to be grinding on Wild Hoppip to get up to level 7. Hoppip is only available on these routes in Pokémon Crystal, but it doesn't actually learn an attacking move until level 10. And that means that the only way you're going to be at risk of fainting is if you hurt yourself too much using Struggle. And now as we enter the first rival battle, I'll tell you that I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Totodile with Smeargle. Out of the 3 starter Pokemon that the rival can have, Chikorita is definitely the bulkiest, and seeing as we're mainly a physical attacker, that seemed like the best option. We're still using Struggle on this Chikorita, and we eventually knocked it out, surviving on 7 HP, and with that we can tell the police officer that the rival's name is We screamed at him initially, and then came to our senses and renamed him back to triple question mark. And then the very last thing we've got to do here in New Bark Town is grab the Pokeballs from Professor Elm's aid, and we can make our way west towards Cherry Grove City. And for the first time in a very long time, we're not going straight into Violet City. We're going to make a detour into the Dark Cave where we're getting our first Sketch move. Now this was a real gamble and a half because we are looking for a 1% encounter. We're looking for this 1% Dunsparce so that we can Sketch Rage. For an early game move, this is probably the best choice we have, and the only way we can Sketch Rage is by throwing a Pokeball and hoping it doesn't catch. That's because we outspeed the Dunsparce, and if we use Sketch before Dunsparce has made a move, it will just fail and we'll be back to Struggle. In this instance though, we got the perfect amount of luck of encountering the Dunsparce very quickly and not catching it, and we can test out Rage in the Sprout Tower. Rage only takes a couple of turns to build up into one-shot range, and then we just chew through the opposition. We grow to level 11 and learn our next Sketch off this sage here, so we're now going to take a detour out of the Sprout Tower and into the Ruins of Alph. This is our very first time we've been in the Ruins of Alph on a challenge run, and goodness me, I do not like these puzzles. I sped this footage up for you, but this was an absolute nightmare. I am not a visual person at all, and I took ages in practice runs getting that right. I'm very glad we got it right first time here, and the reason of course we went into the Ruins of Alph in the first place is so that we can Sketch Hidden Power off an unknown. As with a lot of our normal types, we're going for Hidden Power ground, just so that we can safely get through Morty's gym without any RNG. And now that we're out of the Ruins of Alph, we'll finish off up at the top of Sprout Tower and make our way into Falconer's gym. He's the first leader we're taking on together. He's a flying type specialist and he will lead with Pidgey. One of my ideas for this run was to Sketch Mudslap off the Pidgey and skip Hidden Power, but I really didn't want to forgo the extra 40 base power that Hidden Power gives us over Mudslap. And while we've been talking about what potential moves we could have had, Rage has just chewed through all of Falconer's Pokemon. It's a long first split, but 16 minutes and 15 seconds is not bad going for our Smeargle. It's time to head south now towards the Union Cave and Azalea Town, and with nothing to report in the Union Cave, we'll go straight into the forest where we're going to catch our HM friends. And if you would like to join the HM friends on this channel, the link is in the description, and we'd be delighted to have you on board. Now the first HM friend in the run we're catching is Psyduck. Psyduck's going to be helping out with Surf, Strength, Waterfall and Whirlpool, and the second HM friend of course is Paris. Paris is going to be helping us out with Cut and Flash. He's also going to have Dig on his learn set, and if we need it towards the end of the run, we'll also teach Paris Sweet Scent. But with both of our HM friends safely tucked away for another run, we'll make our way back into Azalea Town proper, where Kurt is telling us all about the shenanigans going on in the Slowpoke Well. We beat up a bunch of Team Rockets, and now it is time for Bugsy's gym. Bugsy is our second leader together. He's a Bug-type trainer, and he will lead with Metapod. Metapod is a great opportunity to start building up those rages, because not only does it harden to increase its defense, it will occasionally tackle us every so often as well. Rage is doing very well against the Kakuna, but we do get poisoned, and we're already onto the Scyther. We took off just under half damage on the first turn, Rage built up again, and on the second turn we knocked it out. Very quick Bugsy splits of 8 minutes 11, total time of 25 minutes and 10 seconds. Up next though is a very tricky fight for normal types. We are against the second rival battle. I still think this is one of the trickiest battles in all of the run. The Ghastly can be tricky if you aren't immune to ghost type moves, and then this Zubat has Supersonic. That means that we are confused and we're going to have to flip a coin every single turn. The good thing is our rage counter keeps on building even when we're hitting ourselves with confusion, and we can just knock out the Zubat a few turns later. We're doing just under half damage on the Bayleaf as we knock it out with a critical hit, and we're just about through Rival 2. That was a little bit trickier than I'd hoped, but we still got through without any resets whatsoever. Now this next part of the run is going to be relatively normal. We're at level 22 now, which means we've got about 9 levels to play with, so we'll do Goldenrod as we usually do by picking up the bike from the bike shop. We'll pick up the bike so that we can move around the region a little bit quicker, we'll grab the coin case from the underground, and this time we don't need to get a haircut. There's no return routed in this run whatsoever, so we'll just go straight to grabbing Abra and our other HM friend. In this instance it is Kenya. And Kenya, of course, will only learn one of our HM moves, but my goodness is she one of the most helpful HM friends. She's going to be flying us here, there and everywhere. We'll go into the national park and grab Dig, and then we'll have a little chat with the lady from the flower shop. She tells us about this funny looking tree that's standing there. We'll investigate that in a little bit, but first, it's time to beat up that cow again. It's Whitney time. She is a normal type specialist, and she will lead with Clefairy. Now, Clefairy's got Metronome, and as much fun as it would be to sketch Metronome, I'm not quite sure if that would work in this run, so we'll just rage all over it and we'll go on to Miltank. Miltank rolls out and her moves are building up with our moves, but she gets a miss before we get a miss, so that was a very easy Whitney battle all things considered, and we get the plain badge in a time of 32 minutes and 22 seconds. Let's now take a little saunter next door into the eavesdropping woman's house, where we're going to grab the Squirts bottle. And with the Squirts bottle, we can take care of that pesky tree once and for all. It's been blighting the lives of the residents of Ecruteak City, Goldenrod City and Violet City, and we will just shoo it away. And with that, we can move north into Ecruteak City, and our first destination is the Kimono Girls Dance Theatre. In here, we have a battle against every single evolution in Generation 2. I think this was such a great way of showing off Espeon and Umbreon. In this instance, though, we beat up a Jolteon with 2 hidden powers, and after defeating all of the Kimono Girls, our reward, of course, is Surf. There's no HMs or TMs for Smeargle, so we're going to have to teach that to Psyduck, but we are about to get our next new move. We're going to take on this specific hiker. He leads with a Diglett. Diglett is completely irrelevant in this, and we'll just use this as an opportunity to get more rage out of the way. We'll grow to level 28, and out comes the Geodude. Hidden Power is a 2-shot on the Geodude, and here is the Pokemon we've been looking for, this Dugtrio. So we're going to try and steal it, and the hiker's not going to be happy about it. But that means we can waste turns and wait for him to use the move we're after. Out of the 4 moves on screen, we are going for Tri-Attack. Tri-Attack is a very strong normal type move with a chance of 3 different status conditions, and all 3 of those status conditions can really help out in a pinch. While we're this side of Mount Mortar, we might as well pick up the rare candy before taking a trip back to Ecruteak City and into the Burnt Tower. In the Burnt Tower, the rival is waiting for us once more. This is the 3rd battle we've had together, and he leads with Haunter. Haunter is very nippy and relatively bulky, so it is going to swear at us, and that means we're on a clock for the rest of this battle. Magnemite is 4 times weak to ground, so that is irrelevant. Tri-Attack makes very light work of the Zubat, only being a 2-shot, and his final Pokemon of course is Bayleaf. It's looking like a 3-shot against the Bayleaf, and he does set up a Reflect, and that Reflect there unfortunately means we had to take a reset. Now the reset counter wasn't playing ball on this particular battle, we are on 3 resets, it just took a little while to update. However, that Haunter did play ball by using Spite instead of Curse, and that means we can take a much more relaxed approach to the rest of this battle. We start building up the rage as we snap out of Confusion, and we're on to the Bayleaf. It's a 3-shot with the Bayleaf as we get poisoned, but that makes no difference to the outcome of this battle as we knock it out with one final rage, and we're now over halfway through our rival battles for the run. We'll drop down through the hole and release the beasts, and with that it's time to think about taking on Morty's gym. Before we take on Morty though, we have to get through all of his gym trainers, and on the very final medium we're going to learn our next sketch. To get Sketch though, we've got to knock out her Pokemon. She starts off with a Ghastly and that's a 1-shot, it's a 2-shot on the Haunter, and this is where we grow to level 31. We've been rocking 3 moves so far, so it's a very welcome addition to have a 4th Sketch, and we're going to take advantage of that straight away. We're going to head west onto Route 38 and take on Schoolboy Chad's Mr. Mime. This Mr. Mime is a bit of a Chad himself as he has Meditate. Meditate's going to be increasing our mediocre attack stats, so it's a very welcome addition onto our learn set. We'll finish off that Mr. Mime and then we'll take on Morty himself. We're not going to be holding any items for this Morty battle because I want to save the Minceberry for Chuck, and he of course is a Ghost and Poison type leader who leads with Ghastly. He curses on turn 1 and that means that we don't really get too much of a chance to set up, however we do get 1 Meditate off and that's enough for the Haunter. It's not quite enough for the Gengar as we take some curse damage, but Hypnosis misses, and that means that this battle is a foregone conclusion because the Haunter's a 1-shot, and with that we will get our next match in a time of 43 minutes and 9 seconds. Let's now head back west onto Route 38 past Schoolboy Chad and into Olivine City. In Olivine City, our first destination is the cafe. In here is a man who will say very nasty things about our Pokemon, but he will give us a Strength HM, so we'll let him off this time. We teach Strength and Surf to Paris, and then we ascend the lighthouse, where Jasmine has climbed out of the bin once more, and she is back with that Ampharos. I swear there's something fishy going on with Jasmine, but we'll give her the benefit of the doubt once more, and we'll make our way south and west towards Cianwood City. So we'll grab the secret potion from the man in the medicine shop, and while we're here we'll take on our next gym. This is definitely going to be one of our tougher gyms. This is the only gym in all of the run where we are at a type disadvantage, and we can see that straight away against this Machoke. Machoke doesn't get any status conditions from Tri-Attack, and it's more than a 2-shot, and he just karate chops us out of there. So we'll give that another go. It's been a very long time since we've taken a reset on a gym trainer, and this time his Rock Slide doesn't hit us. He uses Seismic Toss, which does set damage, and we're through Black Belt Knob, and we can finally take on Chuck. Chuck, of course, is a fighting type specialist, and he will lead with Primeape. There are a couple of strategies we could use for this battle. The first one we're going to try is by using Meditate, and that buffs our attack up enough so Tri-Attack is just 2 shots on the Primeape. Here comes the Poliwrath and it's looking like it's going to be a 3 shots, but we get Dynamic Punched and it's good night and thank you for living there. We'll try again with the alternative strategy, this time we're going for Rage. Rage builds up every single time we're hit, and we get hit 5 times by the Primeape. That means we're doing an awful lot of damage against the Poliwrath, and even though it's still a 3-shot, we get a little bit of extra luck, and we're through Chuck in a time of 50 minutes and 39 seconds. And with that badge safely tucked away in our pocket, we'll take a trip all the way east towards the Lake of Rage. Before we get there though, we've got to pick up Fly from Chuck's wife, and because we've been there before, we can fly directly there. In the lake, we see a red angry Gyarados. This could be a tricky battle because of Dragon Rage now very low HP, so we're just going to start try-attacking it and hope for the best. We get hit by 1 Dragon Rage and then we freeze it, so that was a lot less painful than it could have been. We'll get the red scale and then we'll have a little chat with the liar with the flyers. He holds the Whirlpool HM at ransom until we help him out in the underground. I'll spare you the gory details, but at one point he did use Hyper Beam on one of the Rocket Grunts. Not sure I approve of that myself, but let's not dwell on that. We could be counted as an accomplice there. Let's go into Price's gym so we can get out of Mahogany Town once and for all. Price is an Ice-type trainer who will lead with Seal. We're going to start meditating against the Seal as Icy Wind does a teeny tiny bit of damage, and it's a 1-shot with our boosted Tri-Attack. It's 2 shots on the Dugong, but Dugong gets burnt, not quite sure how that works with an Ice-type, and we're on to the Piloswine. and it's just one critical hit tri-attack against the pile of swine to defeat Price in a time of 56 minutes and 36 seconds. Let's now start heading west back towards Olivine City, but en route we're going to take on a couple of trainers. We're very close to level 41 at this point, so we're going to start by taking on this Pokemaniac. He's got a couple of the middle stage Nido line, and that is just enough to push us over the boundary to 41. At level 41 we're going to say goodbye to Rage, and we're going to say hello to another Sketch, and we're going to use that Sketch straight away just south of the National Park. This Bumhead Fire Duck is very useful in these runs, and we're going to use the same Pokeball strategy as we did on the Doug Trio before. We're just waiting for this Magmar to use Fire Punch, and of course when he eventually does use it we get burnt from it, but I really cannot complain at being burnt because we now have a lovely fire type move to take on Jasmine. So we'll take out both of his Magmar and then we can start thinking about ascending the lighthouse once more. At the very tippy top of the lighthouse, Jasmine is still waiting for us, and after feigning giving the secret potion to that Ampharos, she'll make her way back to the gym. We're going to follow her straight there to try and look for any evidence she might have dropped on the way to see if her Steelix is actually using performance enhancing vitamins, and then we'll try and teach her a lesson once and for all with our Smeargle. She is of course a steel type leader and she leads with Magnemite. Magnemite being 4 times weak to ground means it's simple one shots with hidden power, and we are on to the Steelix. Steelix has very low special defense, but even that isn't quite enough for us to 2-shot, and we get hit by 2 Iron Tails in a row. Those performance enhancing vitamins are coming into play once more. She is not missing that many Iron Tails, and it takes quite a few resets for us to get the luck we need. And the frustrating thing about all of this is that Steelix actually has Sunny Day on her learn set, if she bothered to set up in the first place. As it happens though, we get a little bit of luck on the very next run. We survive on 1 HP and we take out the Steelix to get the mineral badge in a time of 1 hour and 27 seconds. And now that we've got 7 badges safely tucked away, we can do a little bit of housekeeping. We'll go back to Violet City and pick up the rare candy outside of the Sprout Tower. We'll then head on over to Goldenrod City and head south onto Route 34 where our next rare candy is waiting for us. And we can't learn any TMs as a Smeargle, so we'll skip the department store and go straight to the underground. And underneath the department store we have the 4th rival battle waiting for us. He generally gets easier the further through the run we go, so let's see if that's the case this time. He leads with Golbat, who straight away goes for Confuse Ray. And having used Meditate on turn 1, that means that when we hit ourselves in Confusion, it hits a little bit stronger than it otherwise would have done. In fact, we get Confusion locked this entire battle, and we have to take a reset. That's very rare we take a reset on Rival 4, but that was just a little bit of bad RNG. We'll use the exact same strategy against the rival this time. We take care of his Golbat in 2 shots and we're on to the Magnemite. We're still rocking Hidden Power Ground, so that's a 1-shot, and we're on to the Haunter. Haunter's a 1-shot as well with Hidden Power Ground, and he sends out Sneasel next. We don't have anything super effective against the Sneasel, but he just tries leering at us. 1 further Tri-Attack later and we're on to the Meganium. Tri-Attack gets a very lucky Paralyze as we knock it out in just 2 shots, and that's the rival defeated for 1 more time. Now that we've done that, we can focus on saving the radio tower. We'll grab the pink bow from Marie on the top floor, and we'll also grab the radio card from this lady on the bottom floor. We'll fly back to Mahogany Town and make our escape once more because they're still on the lookout for us after what Lance did. We'll grab HMO7, which is Waterfall, from the Icy Path. We'll make our escape out the other side and we're in Blackthorn City. There's not too much for us to do in Blackthorn City, so we'll go straight to Clair. She is the genuine Dragon-type leader of this run and she leads with Dragonair. We don't get Thunder Waved on our first 2 turns, and that means we can set up 2 Meditates. That takes Tri-Attack easily into 1-shot range, and we learn yet another Sketch. We say goodbye to Fire Punch, that was a 1-hit wonder against Jasmine, and we can carry on Tri-Attacking the rest of her Pokemon. All 3 Dragonair go down in 1 shot, and that just leaves the Kingdra. Kingdra tries to throw a spanner in the works by smoke screening us, but it's too little too late for Claire. We defeat her Kingdra in 2 shots and we get the badge in a time of 1 hour, 16 minutes and 34 seconds. That's all 8 Jotonian gym badges acquired. We can now start making our way east out of Newbark Town onto Route 26. We'll grab the rare candy from this little grove that you have to surf to, and now we're going to get our very next Sketch move. This is the trainer I alluded to in our last run. It is the Parasect trainer, and a lot of you guessed Spore. We are not going to be getting Spore. As you can see, I reset when we got Spored there. we are looking for Swords Dance. This is a Generation 1 exclusive move on Parasect, and this is going to double the speed at which we can raise our attack. We've just got to get through the rest of this battle unscathed, and then we have Swords Dance on our learn set once and for all. I was very glad to see Swords Dance on the trainer list there, because it saves having to sketch the Swords Dance off the Farfetch'd earlier on in the route. And now it is time for the final rival battle. And we're going to test out our Swords Dance straight away against this Sneasel as it screeches us. We one-shot the Sneasel and we're on to the Golbat. Tri-Attack makes very light work of the Golbat one-shotting it, and here comes Magneton. Magneton is still 4 times weak to ground, so it goes out as quickly as it came in, as does the Haunter. That brings us on to Kadabra with its low physical defense. That goes down in one shot, and his final Pokemon is Meganium. It's still not quite a one shot, but we burn it as he paralyzes us. He gets another body slam in first, but gets hurt by his burn, and we are through the rival for the very final time. Time of 1 hour 51 minutes and 52 seconds into the league. Now let's take a heal and say thank you to our HM friends. It's a very big thank you to Kenya, to Abra, to Psyduck, and to Paris. You've all been a great help in the Johto region. Get some well-deserved rest at the Costa del PC box as we buy our 4 full restores and start thinking about taking Smeargle through the Pokemon League. Let's take a little look at our stats. We have 149 HP at level 55. We are holding the pink bow, and our moves are Tri-Attack, Hidden Power, Meditate, and Swords Dance. We have 59 in attack, 78 in defense, 61 in special attack, 88 in special defense, and 121 in speed. And our first league member is one of our HM friends. It's Mr. Saint Germain himself, it's Will. He is a psychic type trainer who leads with Xatu. We'll start setting up with Swords Dance as it does not confuse us, and one Tri-Attack later it goes down. He tries sending out a Jinx next, but Jinx is incredibly frail and goes down in a single Tri-Attack as well. Out comes Executor, and he manages to get a Reflect off. That's going to halve the damage that our physical attacks do, so we're going to set up against a Slowbro as Slowbro sets up against us. It's a bit of a war of attrition here as we burn the Slowbro. Psychic hits us for a little bit of damage and we knock it out on the second turn. His final Pokemon is Xatu. One Tri-Attack knocks that out and we have defeated our first league member. Let's move on to Koga. Koga is a poison type specialist and an ex-gym leader, so I'm expecting great things from him. We start off once again with a Swords Dance as the Ariados uses Giga Drain and Double Team. We hit through the Double Team though and critical hit to knock it out in one shot, so he sends out Venomoth. Venomoth isn't particularly strong though and gets knocked out with a single Tri-Attack, so he tries again with Fortress. Fortress is incredibly bulky and it takes 3 shots to knock it out, but he doesn't get into going boom range, so we knock it out without taking too much damage, and we're on to his Muck. Muck is a simple one shot with Tri-Attack, and that just leaves Crobat. Crobat gets knocked out with a single Tri-Attack as well, and with that we are on to Bruno. Time of 1 hour 24 minutes and 13 seconds for Koga, but I think it could take a little bit longer for Bruno. Bruno of course is a fighting type specialist, but Hitmontop loves using Dig. That gives us 2 free turns of Swords Dance set up, so we are at +4 attack for the Hitmonlee. That gets taken out with a single Tri-Attack, and he tries again with Hitmonchan. Mach Punch is a priority move on the Hitmonchan, so he does deal a lot of damage to us, but we knock it out in one shot and we do exactly the same against the Machamp. I was very worried about the Machamp because any of its moves would have knocked us out, and we are now onto the Onix. It's a 2-shot on Onix to knock it out, and with that we've defeated Bruno in a time of 1 hour 24 minutes and 56 seconds. Karen's next, and as always that Umbreon is there to derail an otherwise perfect league run. We get Stand Attack twice and we move on to the Vileplume, but Vileplume hits us with Sun Spore and we take a voluntary reset. Let's try that once more, and this time we only get hit by 1 Stand Attack as I go straight for the Tri-Attack. We do get Confuse Raid though, but we get a little bit of extra luck. We Swords Dance once more just to try and make sure we knock out all of her Pokemon in as fewer hits as possible. We don't get hit by Stun Spore as we take out the Vileplume in one shot, and we are on to the Gengar. We still have Hidden Power Ground on our learn set, so we knock out the Gengar in one. That brings us on to Murkrow. Murkrow's a one shot with a critical hit, and her final Pokemon is Houndoom. We use Hidden Power Ground against the Houndoom, it's super effective, and we knock out Karen in a time of 1 hour 25 minutes and 58 seconds. There's only one obstacle between us and the Hall of Fame now. It's the liar with the flyers, it's Birdkeeper Lance. He leads with Gyarados, which normally tries Rain Dance on turn 1, but in this instance he went straight for Hyper Beam. That gives us 3 turns of Swords Dance, which means we can knock out all of his Pokemon an awful lot easier. Tri-Attack one-shot the Gyarados, and it does exactly the same against both of those level 47 Dragonite. Only those 2 Dragonite have Thunder Wave, so that was a huge relief. Tri-Attack isn't quite a one-shot on the Aerodactyl, but he misses his Rock Slide, and we are on to the Charizard. It's back to one-shot city for the Charizard, and it's exactly the same against his final Dragonite. We got through the Liar with the Flyers on our very first turn, and our reward for defeating Lance is another sketch that we'll learn very, very soon. Our final lead time for Smeargle is 1 hour 27 minutes and 16 seconds, but don't you dare go anywhere though, because Kanto is next. And we're back outside our house in Newbark Town where it all began. Professor Elm gives us a call because he's got something for us. He gives us the SS ticket, which will allow us to board the SS Aqua and make our way into Kanto proper. Before we go there though, we have to retrieve our HM friends from the Costa del PC box. It's a very warm welcome back to Kenya, to Abra, to Psyduck and to Paris. They had a lovely little break while Smeargle was taking on the league, and they are all so proud of that run, especially the Lance fight. We'll grab the rare candy from Mount Mortar, we'll get the other rare candy from the Whirl Islands, we'll spin about in the spot, and suddenly we're in Kanto. And the first thing we do in Kanto is the last thing we do in Johto. We're going to grab another rare candy, this time from the chairman of the Pokémon fan club. After that, it's a quick jaunt up Route 6, through Saffron City and across Route 7, and we're into Celadon City. We'll pick up the leftovers from the bin in the cafe, that's where Jasmine was a little bit earlier, and we'll then make our way into Erica's gym. Erica is our 9th gym leader, she is a grass-type specialist, and she will lead with Tangela. Tangela has a nasty habit of putting us to sleep, but we'll risk setting up anyway. She goes for Bind and it misses, so we take no damage off the Tangela, but it is a 2-shot with Tri-Attack. She brings out Jumpluff, and we have to Tri-Attack once more. Jumpluff is a little bit more frail than Tangela though, so it goes down in one shot. We use a Swords Dance against the Victory Bell as it uses Sunny Day. She's clearly prepping for her Blossom, who has Solar Beam, but we knock it out before it even gets a chance to move. We get Erica's badge in a time of 1 hour 31 minutes and 42 seconds. Let's now move on to Misty. Misty is the Water-type leader of this generation, and she leads with Golduck. We use the Swords Dance as it uses Surf, and we knock the Golduck out in one shot. And we then switch to Hidden Power for the Quagsire. We want to sketch Amnesia off this Quagsire, so we're not going to be using our most powerful move straight away. She Rain Dances on turn 2, which means that Quagsire posed no threat at all. Tri-Attack does a lot of damage to the Lapras, but it doesn't quite knock it out, and we get taken into the yellow with Surf, but her final Pokemon is Starmie. Starmie doesn't have the bulk to survive a Tri-Attack though, and we defeat Misty in a time of 1 hour 36 minutes and 7 seconds. While we're on a roll, we'll head over to Saffron City and take on Sabrina. She is a Psychic-type specialist who leads with Peskeon. Now that pesky Espeon sand attacks us on the first turn. That means we're going to have to hit through our accuracy drop. We do that on the Mr. Mime though, and we do it once again on the Alakazam, so that sand attack was a giant waste of time. We get Sabrina's badge in a time of 1 hour 36 minutes and 50 seconds. We're going to take on Lieutenant Surge of Vermilion City next and his Electric-type Pokemon. He leads with Raichu and we get Thunder Waved. I predicted that though and had the Paralyzed Cure Berry equipped. That means we get one turn of Swords Dance off, and that's just enough combined with Hidden Power to make very light work of this gym. Magneton is still as irrelevant as ever, and we're onto his second Electrode. We outspeed the Electrode, and that brings us onto his Electabuzz. Electabuzz is a one-shot with Hidden Power, and with that we have defeated Surge in a time of 1 hour 38 minutes and 33 seconds. And the last leader in our rapid-fire buffet of Cantonian gym leaders is Brock. He is a Rock-type specialist who leads with Graveler. Graveler starts rolling out, which means we can set up some Swords Dance and take care of that in one shot. Rhyhorn puts up no resistance either and gets taken out in a single Hidden Power. It's not a one shot on the Omastar though, and that means we get hit by Surf. Another Hidden Power later though, and it gets knocked out, and we're on to the Onix. I decide to set up another Swords Dance against the Onix though, because it is incredibly bulky. If there's one stat you need to worry about with an Onix, it's defense. And seeing as we one-shot the Onix, it's a very easy KO on the Kabutops to get our next badge in a time of 1 hour 39 minutes and 58 seconds. We're now going to take a trip all the way south through Viridian Hedge Maze, through Viridian City itself, out of Pallet Town and onto Cinnabar Island. Blue's waiting for us here, and he has the blues as this island has been destroyed by a volcano. We mustn't dwell on that though, we must pick up the rare candy that was hidden in the rubble, and we'll make our way east into the Seafoam Islands and into Blaine's gym. Blaine is a fire-type specialist and he will lead with Magcargo. We did a redo of Magcargo on stream recently and we shaved a whole hour off its time, so I am very fond of this Pokemon at the moment, but that doesn't stop me knocking it out with a Hidden Power. We do exactly the same against the Bumhead Fireduck, and his final Pokemon is Rapidash. Rapidash isn't so rapid this time as we outspeed it and we knock it out in one shot. With that, we've got Blaine's badge in a time of 1 hour, 41 minutes and 17 seconds. And now it's time for everyone's favourite pushover, it's Janine, our 15th gym leader. She's a poison type specialist just like her father, and her Crobat goes down in 2 shots. Her Weezing has Explosion on it, so we can't set up too much. We managed to get 1 Swords Dance off though, and that's enough to one-shot with Tri-Attack. Tri-Attack does exactly the same against Weezing too, and once again against the Ariados. That just leaves her Venomoth, and she doesn't use a dire hit this time, so it's a very quick Janine battle in a time of 1 hour 42 minutes on the nose. Our final gym leader is Blue. He's a mixed type leader who leads with Pidgeot. Pidgeot has Mirror Move, so he starts Mirror Moving our Swords Dance, and I started to panic. I was going to set up 3 Swords Dances, but instead I went for just 2, because a +6 setup Pidgeot is a force to be reckoned with. We use our last Swords Dance against the Alakazam and then get to try attacking it. It goes down in one shot because it's very weak physically, and now we're at +6 attack for the Rhydon. Rhydon still isn't a one-shot even with +6 attack, so we have to use 2 hidden powers as he goes for Fury Attack instead of Sandstorm, and we're on to the Gyarados. We use a Tri-Attack against the Gyarados to take it out in one single hit, and he brings out Exeggutor. Exeggutor has Leech Seed on its learn set, so we are very glad to take care of that in one shot, and his final Pokemon is Arcanine. Arcanine is weak to our ground hidden power, so it's just 1 hit to knock it out, and with that we have our 16th and final badge in a time of 1 hour 43 minutes and 19 seconds, and there is only one thing left to do. We've got to speak to Professor Oak to unlock Mount Silver, where our final challenge is waiting us. Smeargle has done incredibly well up until this point. We are heading to Red in under 2 hours. Let me know in the comments below, do you think we're going to defeat Red in under 2 hours? We've got 15 minutes to do it, so we are in with a really good shout. And here we are at the top of Mount Silver. This is Red, and he leads with Pikachu. We outspeed the Pikachu, which surprised me an awful lot, and we get to Amnesiaing. We've got to hope that we do not get paralysed from Thunder. I'm going to be very, very liberal with my resets here. The second we get paralysed, I'm going to reset. I want to be in with the best chance possible of just sweeping through his team. We managed to get almost fully set up against the Pikachu this time, and then we can get to Tri-Attacking. Tri-Attack has been invaluable in this run, and the reason I chose that over Body Slam is for the chance of burning and freezing. We don't have the best defensive stats in the world, so if we can immobilise an enemy with a freeze, or stop it hitting us as hard with a burn, we're in with a much better shout of getting through the battle. And one of my targets for Tri-Attack was this Snorlax. He body slams us though for great damage, and to add insult to injury, we get paralysed. And after that nonsense, I have no issue using 3 rare candies. We grow to level 71 and we forget Hidden Power Ground in place of Sketch. We're back at it again against the Pikachu and we have to throw the dice. We cannot afford to get paralysed because our entire strategy hinges on outspeeding as many of these Pokemon as possible. We get some incredible luck against Pikachu in this fight and we don't get paralysed at all. And once our Amnesia is fully set up, I decide not to take any more risks against this Pikachu. We're not going to take too much damage off this Espeon now, so we can finish setting up against it instead. Swift isn't dealing too much damage, so we can set up another Swords Dance and then get to try attacking the Espeon. We're not at full attack though, and it's 2 shots to knock it out, and we're back onto that Snorlax. That Snorlax obliterated us last time, and it did exactly the same this time. Let's use all of our rare candies. We're now at level 75 and see if we can do any better at all. We start off by building up our special defense with Amnesia, and we don't so much care about getting charmed because we have Swords Dance. We get back up to +2 attack, and then we take care of the Pikachu in one single Tri-Attack. And that means we'll need to take 2 turns to set up against this Espeon. He uses Swift on turn 1, which was not what I was hoping he would use, but on turn 2 he uses Reflect. And this is why we tuck in the extra Sketch. Reflect will halve the damage that Snorlax can do to us. That means we just have to worry about being paralysed. I decide to waste turns against this Espeon because I want the Reflect to be faded before we take on the Snorlax. As soon as the Reflect fades though, it's a Tri-Attack against the Espeon, and we are onto that pesky Snorlax. Even with +6 attack, it's a 2-shot, but he uses Amnesia. That gives us the in we need, and we only have 3 special attackers left to go. We Tri-Attack against the Venusaur as it uses Sunny Day, and that was a waste of a turn. Red's AI sees the Amnesia and means that he will go for a physical attack if he can. Wing attack deals very little damage and we have just one Pokemon left to go. It's that bulky Blastoise. We hit it for Tri Attack and take it deep into the red. Blizzard doesn't freeze us, and with that we have defeated Red in a time of 1 hour, 52 minutes and 36 seconds. I was in shock and disbelief that we got Smeargle under 2 hours. This was one of my favourite runs I have ever done, and it's a well-deserved 18th place on the leaderboard. I genuinely thought that Smeargle would be down in the 30s, so I felt ecstatic. Unfortunately for Macago, that means he doesn't have any company down there in 35th place on the leaderboard. At the top end though, things are still unchanged. We have Kangaskhan in top spot, and Jinx is next in the drop zone. And with that, we are done. So I'm going to say thank you all so much for watching. It's been a pleasure as always. This was one of my all-time proudest runs, and if you enjoyed this run, please do consider leaving a like. If you want to see more runs just like this, then please do think about subscribing. I have a Patreon at patreon.com/TrainerSquidgy, and until next time I'll say thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon.